Hi, the world of video games has almost always been dominated by major franchises with incredibly long game series, which grow in number every year. Some series are simply good, while others are quite mediocre, but there are also iconic game series that any true gamer should play. Let's start with the Metro game series. This series consists of highly interesting and atmospheric shooters developed by Ukrainian developers, set in the underground metro tunnels with warring factions, monsters, and a mutant-infested surface. If you've missed it, I highly recommend playing it. Currently, the series includes 3 interconnected games, and a continuation of the story has been confirmed. The Witcher game series, another excellent game series about the legendary White Wolf. The story, written by Sapkowski, and the world he created perfectly suit the dark RPG genre. The world is atmospheric, and every character, even those in supporting roles, is a fully fledged personality with their own history. The plot has intriguing twists, and fulfilling various Witcher contracts is genuinely interesting. The series currently comprises 3 interconnected games, but the developers have hinted at more to come. Mass Effect game series, one of the best narrative-driven space games about Captain Shepard's war against the Reapers. The series was unique in the gaming industry of its time, proving that Western RPGs can be thrilling and well thought out without overwhelming players with endless dialogues. The emphasis was on spectacle, grandiosity, and cinematic experience. Each cutscene, conversation, and event was presented as if the player was watching an expensive space action movie. S.T.A.L.K.E.R game series, another cult series from Ukrainian developers. The game gained popularity mainly for its unique atmosphere, combining an apocalyptic setting with Eastern European flair, and a living open world that's a joy to explore. Gloomy music, rainy autumn, abandoned villages and factories, creepy mutants, campfires with guitars and jokes, it all adds up to an unforgettable experience. We are eagerly awaiting the continuation of the series this year. Grand Theft Auto game series. What started as a game about car thefts grew into an incredibly long series, becoming one of the best-selling series in the history of the gaming industry. It features cities that have firmly settled in our memory, and streets we still know by heart. The 5th installment introduced 3 main protagonists, diversifying the overall storyline, and its graphics quality still commands respect. Thanks to its active online mode, GTA 5 servers are still crowded with players. The development of Grand Theft Auto 6 has been officially confirmed, but developers have yet to disclose any additional information about the project. The Elder Scrolls games series, one of the major gaming series that made a significant contribution to the development of open-world games. Since its early installments in the 90s, developers have been striving to create vast interactive territories, even with limited technology capabilities of that time. Modern computer technology gifted us classic games like Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, with the latter becoming the most popular game in the series. The development of The Elder Scrolls 6 has been officially confirmed for quite some time, but the official release date is still unknown. Far Cry game series, a series of dynamic first-person shooters that send us to various exotic locations with beautiful, wild nature. The games are not directly connected, but the series has quite a long history, with 14 games to date. Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 are not just excellent games, they are the best open-world shooters I've played in recent years. While there hasn't been an official announcement for the 7th installment yet, I'm confident that Ubisoft is already working on the series' continuation. Assassin's Creed game series. The series is about skilled assassins delivering justice. It is sure to appeal to adventure enthusiasts. The first game was initially meant to be a spin-off for Prince of Persia, but during development, it evolved into a standalone game, giving birth to an entire game series that shows no signs of stopping. Personally, I loved the story of Altair in the first installment, Black Flag, and Assassin's Creed Origins. However, it's a clear example of how a popular series can turn into a money-making conveyor, with the latest Valhalla not being an exception. Let's see what happens with Assassin's Creed Mirage. Young gamers who didn't experience the heyday of Gothic may not understand why those who are a bit older reminisce about it with a nostalgic smile turning into a sad sigh. Despite the developers themselves putting the final nail in the coffin of their creation with Arcania, the early games of the series will likely remain in the lists of the best action RPGs for a long time. The playable teaser of the modern remake of the first Gothic, which appeared on Steam at the end of 2019, looks promising. It's evident that the developers decided not just to copy the original game, but added something new. The remake is promised to be released next year. Some people hate these games, while others adore them. Some struggle to defeat even the first boss, while others set records and breeze through the most challenging bosses. If in the past, games showed us many exciting trailers, and the gameplay seemed simple and predictable, in the Dark Souls universe, everything is entirely different. This game series is not for everyone, as many will find it too challenging. However, its uniqueness and difficulty are captivating. Not everyone may reach the end, but everyone should give it a try. Doom game series. The Doom series represents some of the most insane and incredibly fast-paced, action-packed battles. Doom is the very first shooter of its kind that utilized 3D graphics and multiplayer mode. Though the storyline may not be the most creative, it's there. You play as an unnamed hero exterminating hordes of demons that have invaded Mars facilities and later Earth. The reboot of the series, 2016, added even more dynamism, hardcore action, and numerous references to the classic game. The first installment of the Crysis series was released in 2007 and is still well remembered. This high-budget action game showcased an incredible level of graphics at the time. Even now, many games are far from reaching Crysis capabilities, especially in terms of environmental destructibility. The subsequent sequels were good and of high quality, but they never became as iconic as the original game from 2007. For gamers who missed the shooter, Crytek released a decent remaster. Everyone has heard of the Half-Life game series. There are good reasons for it. The first game released in the 90s caused wild excitement. Excellent gameplay was combined with a cleverly crafted storyline. The second part also became a huge success, retaining all the best from the first game but, of course, with improved graphics. Moreover, despite the futuristic weaponry and technologies in the game, the developers ensured that everything looked scientifically grounded and plausible. The recent release for VR devices Half-Life Alyx strengthens hopes that Half-Life 3 will eventually come out. Fallout can be called one of the most intriguing game series. The first game released in 1997 brought a new era to game development. The series' action takes place in an alternate world where technology followed the path of vacuum tubes and nuclear physics. Cathode ray tube televisions coexist with robots and laser weapons, cars run on atomic power, and soldiers use exoskeletons called power armor. The storyline tells about events after a nuclear war. It's a grim and cold world, populated by mutants, remnants of humanity, cyborgs, and robots. The vast open world, absolute freedom, and unlimited possibilities made the series a benchmark, except for a couple of parts. As for the future of the franchise, only Bethesda knows for sure. Diablo game series, an action-adventure hack-and-slash game where players engage primarily in clearing various locations, battling bosses, and searching for better gear. Diablo is undoubtedly one of the leaders in the RPG gaming realm, combining a decent storyline, diverse monsters, a wide choice of main characters with individual abilities and skills, especially evident from the second installment. The long-awaited fourth part of the series was released not long ago, and a significant portion of players did not enjoy it. However, it's worth noting that Diablo 3 was also heavily criticized and bashed at the start, but now, people remember it as a wonderful game. Such situations occur more often nowadays. Heroes of Might and Magic game series. This is one of those game series that can captivate you for weeks or even months of continuous gameplay. Despite having both perfect installments considered classics of the gaming industry and some completely failed ones, Heroes remain beloved by millions, and every new part is eagerly anticipated, although unfortunately, the series is going through some tough times. Prince of Persia game series, an interesting and quite unusual game series, from which Assassin's Creed eventually grew. The gameplay highlights excellent acrobatics and intense real-time combat with the use of time manipulation. The series consists of 8 games. The last one, titled The Forgotten Sands, was released in 2010. However, I personally recommend playing the stories of Dahaka and Prince of Persia, Warrior Within and Prince of Persia from 2008, which has an entirely new story and visual style. Fable game series. This is a game series that every self-respecting gamer should experience. It's a fairy tale adventure, characterized by great attention to detail. In addition to exploring locations, finding treasures, and leveling up the hero, the player needs to pay attention to their character's well-being. For example, eating too much will lead to excess weight. Excessive drinking will cause nausea, and battles will result in scars. Players can also build relationships with NPCs and even get married. In my favorite Fable, The Lost Chapters, we start playing as a child, and over time, our hero grows up and ages. It's fun to see a skinny boy transform into a gray-haired, muscular old man. The Darksiders series incorporates many positive elements from other previously released slashers. Moreover, it fully immerses us in a mysterious biblical world of the conflict between heaven and hell, allowing us to play as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The gameplay includes exploring locations, finding secrets, solving puzzles, and engaging in battles with numerous enemies and bosses. On our journey, we encounter demons from hell, angels from heaven, and ancient beings not aligned with either side. BioShock game series, a well-known first-person shooter series with RPG elements. The first 2 parts immerse you in the underwater city of Rapture, where experiments on humans and the study of powerful elements turn people into bloodthirsty monsters. The third installment takes us to the airborne metropolis of Columbia. All the games in the series maintain a high level of quality, and the third one, according to critics and gamers, is the best. By the way, remasters of the first 2 parts were released in 2016. Thief game series. In modern times, it's challenging to imagine a top RPG or action game without stealth elements. But it wasn't always the case, and 20 years ago, most similar games were ordinary action titles. However, with the release of the first installments of the Thief series, the game set the trend not only in the stealth action genre but also in the mechanics of stealth and many other genres. All parts of the series are united by the main character, a thief named Garrett. He lives in a cruel medieval world, in an unnamed city, where magic, as well as steam-powered inventions and machines, Splinter Cell game series. Another game that emphasizes stealth gameplay. Since 2002, the series has been delighting players with the adventures of the spy Sam Fisher. In each installment, the hero becomes stronger, more cunning, and more furious. With an impressive arsenal of gadgets, players must move stealthily through various locations and silently eliminate enemies. While there is weaponry, its use is not encouraged. Loud noises will quickly attract enemies, who will deal with the main character swiftly. Wolfenstein game series. Dynamic first-person shooters, with the plot and setting dedicated to World War II but with elements of fantasy. Essentially, each new part of Wolfenstein was completely different from the previous one, although not all of them were unequivocally successful. However, the original concept, unique enemies, stunning locations, elements of mysticism, and excellent shooting mechanics undoubtedly set the series apart and qualify it as one of the best PC shooters, especially the reboot starting from 2014, which brought new life to the series. Dawn of War is considered one of the best strategic series. This game series is set in the dark future universe of Warhammer. I think there is hardly any RTS fan who hasn't played at least one of the games in this series. But if, for some reason, you missed this series, I advise you to reconsider your decision. The earliest parts are particularly successful, gaining immense love among the gaming community. In particular, the unforgettable original, Winter Assault, Dark Crusade, and Soulstorm. Lara Croft is one of the most recognizable characters in video games with over 20 years of history, almost becoming the central female character of the entire gaming industry. Surprisingly, few people know that originally, our heroine was supposed to be a man. At the beginning of the development of the first game, they assumed that the protagonist would be a classic male hero, akin to Indiana Jones. This game series has contributed significantly to the development of the gaming industry. Yes, over the years, it has gone through many shocks, ups, and downs, but it still remains beloved by many gamers. And I believe that every self-respecting gamer should play at least the latest trilogy from 2013 to 2018. Resident Evil game series. This is one of the first games that comes to mind when thinking about zombie-themed games. The series stands out among other similar games, primarily because of its focus on trying to control the zombie virus. Technically, there are only 8 original games, to which Capcom has released countless spin-offs and additional episodes. The series has not always been smooth, and it has undergone several major changes in direction. Nevertheless, Resident Evil remains one of the best horror franchises, especially after the successful 8th installment and the recent remake of the iconic Resident Evil 4. Dead Space Games series, a dark and bloody third-person science fiction shooter with survival horror elements. The first part was developed back in 2008 and eventually turned into a fantastic trilogy, immersing us in the creepy atmosphere of spaceships and stations where all crew members were exposed to alien artifacts and transformed into horrifying monsters, necromorphs. Personally, this series reminds me of The Thing. However, the hero here is far from helpless and can mow down enemies by the dozens. The tense atmosphere is based on feelings of loneliness, fear, and revulsion. Dragon Age game series. In 2009, Dragon Age Origins was released, becoming a phenomenon in the revival of classic role-playing games. At a time when many competitors leaned towards the synthesis of action and RPG, BioWare proved that the pure genre was still in demand. Well-developed character personalities, relationship systems between party members, and the ability to form romances with companions are some of the notable features. Moreover, the player's decisions significantly influenced the development of the plot. Call of Duty game series, a popular first-person shooter series dedicated to various wars: World War II, the Cold War, the Third World War, space wars, and battles against global terrorism. Call of Duty games have always been vivid and dynamic shooters. Skillfully selected soundtracks, voice acting, and game trailers, not inferior to expensive blockbusters, have worked their magic. The series consistently sells millions of copies every year, and it has long become a conveyor. X Games series, an incredibly vast universe consisting of 4 main space sims and 3 standalone expansions. With each new installment, the mechanics of X improved and were refined, and the accessible universe for exploration became broader. Admittedly, not all of its releases were of high quality, but the franchise still has many fans. Games in this series offer players the chance to explore an open space world, mine resources, trade, fight, build space stations, and even manage a star empire. Players have access to numerous types of spaceships, from small scouts to huge carriers, and each one can be controlled, customized, and upgraded. Silent Hill, alongside Resident Evil, is one of the most well-known horror franchises. However, unlike RE, which features scary but quite tangible zombies and mutants, Silent Hill tries to scare players with psychological horror, mixing in elements of mysticism and urban legends, immersing the player into the depths of nightmares created by the subconscious of the main character. The best in the series is considered the original trilogy, with Silent Hill 2 being the standout installment, featuring the famous Pyramid Head. It's worth mentioning that Konami is currently working on a reboot of the series and a new installment. Devil May Cry game series, a cult classic hack-and-slash game with the best combat system among all representatives of the genre. Although fans of Bayonetta and Darksiders might disagree with me, Battles in every Devil May Cry game are a true feast with an abundance of flashy tricks, techniques, and combos, which reached their peak of spectacle in the recently released fifth installment of the franchise. I recommend playing it to all fans of high-quality slashers. Probably everyone knows or has heard about the legendary Serious Sam. And that's not surprising, as this game series is considered one of the most famous and popular in the history of shooters. Each installment is famous for its dynamic action that raises the level of adrenaline. There are no RPG elements or special gameplay features here. The main goal is to destroy thousands of enemies encountered along the way. It's worth mentioning the latest installment, Serious Sam 4, which took the best from previous games, spiced it up with modern graphics and vast locations, and introduced new gameplay mechanics. All of this made the fourth part one of the best in the series. Who doesn't know Civilization? Probably everyone has at least heard of it. It's the kind of game that makes you say, just one more turn, from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. In Civilization, players take on the role of a leader of a chosen nation, and must lead it to global dominance through several real historical eras, from ancient times to the space age. To do this, players have a wide range of state affairs, culture, construction, science, diplomacy, trade, exploratory expeditions, and military actions. Victory can be achieved in various ways, including without the use of military force. Need for Speed Games series. The history of this series spans over 25 years, during which the franchise went from extreme street racing to track racing. Not many game series have rebooted 3 times and still retained a large number of fans. Since its debut in 1994, when it immediately took a leading position in the genre, Need for Speed has evolved and changed to meet modern trends, becoming the most successful racing series in history. Great graphics, an abundance of various cars, extensive tuning options, and thrilling races are what comes to mind when thinking about Need for Speed. Medal of Honor game series. One of the most well-known series that, like Call of Duty, started with the theme of World War II, but in its latest projects shifted the focus to modern military conflicts and anti-terrorism operations. Medal of Honor is an iconic series in the world of video games, which influenced the popularity of military shooters and left a mark in the hearts of many players. From 2012, the series was put on hold, but after the recent announcement of Medal of Honor for VR devices, there is hope for at least a remake of the first installments. Mafia game series. Mafia should be familiar to everyone who considers themselves fans of video games, as it is one of the best story-driven crime action games. Well, at least the first 2 parts. Mafia 3, personally for me, was disappointing with its monotony, to the point where I couldn't force myself to finish it and abandoned it somewhere in the middle. However, it is still an excellent series, revealing the intricacies of the dangerous life of gangsters with their shootouts, chases, and betrayals, where each game is a cinematic story. Metal Gear game series. The father of all stealth games. It is a unique universe with conspiracies, super spies, nanorobots, genetic engineering, and other elements of science fiction and alternative history. Under the guise of an ordinary game, it hides not empty themes like the moral and ethical aspects of war, but original humor and regular breaking of the fourth wall, which became the hallmark of the series. The Divinity series has always been known for its rich and well-thought-out worlds with interesting lore, and I believe that everyone should play at least a couple of games from this unusual series. The series has been going since 2002 and contains many good games, memorable for their unique gameplay features, such as the ability to talk to animals, transform into a dragon, or use the environment in tactical battles. Borderlands game series. A series of dynamic first-person shooters with great humor. The insane shootouts begin when we choose one of the available mercenaries and head to the planet Pandora, where fairly dangerous creatures dwell, which need to be exterminated with all sorts of weapons. This series gained wide popularity thanks to its unusual graphics, excellent co-op, and a successful hybrid of RPG and FPS, which incorporated the most attractive features of both genres. As a result, we got an explosive game series equally focused on shooting. Hitman Game Series, a series of games about the silent assassin, whose skills allow him to infiltrate any location, eliminate the target discreetly, preferably setting up the murder to look like an accident, and then leave without arousing suspicion. The developers even invented the genre of social stealth, where the assassin is constantly in plain sight, blending in with the crowd and disguising himself through various outfits. Each mission is like a puzzle that requires cleverness and imagination, and the tasks can be completed in multiple ways. Halo game series. This is one of the most important shooter series of all time. The first part revolutionized the perception of shooters, paving the way for countless books, toys, TV shows, and since then, Halo has received numerous sequels, spin-offs, and a wide variety of creative works based on it, becoming one of the greatest series in the history of the gaming industry. Almost all the games in the collection can be played in co-op, and some even support up to 4 players. Final Fantasy Games Series. This series is one of the pillars of the JRPG genre. It is the one that gave us the spiky-haired heroes, massive swords, and spectacular boss battles. While these games are more console-oriented, many of them have been ported to the PC. So it's worth exploring at least Final Fantasy XV, which is suitable for players unfamiliar with the series. Middle-earth Games Series, an action RPG series with gameplay that incorporates many interesting ideas, including some that are new to the genre. The combat system deserves special mention, as it is very dynamic and spectacular. In the beginning, the main character is weak, and 2 to 3 orcs pose a real threat, not to mention boss fights. But as we level up and unlock new combat abilities, we gain access to new fighting possibilities, allowing us to take on even entire groups. Yakuza Game Series, a series of crime-themed action RPGs with a partially open world, set in different years in Japan. Until recently, these games remained exclusive to PlayStation consoles, but Sega decided to expand the platform list and bring PC gamers into the fold. As a result, several games in the series have already been released on computers, and several more are in the works. The Walking Dead Games Series, an interesting series of narrative-driven adventure games with unusual plot twists, fast-paced action, and realistic characters. The games, divided into episodes, are set in a world experiencing a classic zombie apocalypse. However, unlike most similar projects that rely on hordes of attacking zombies for horror, The Walking Dead focuses more on psychological horror. Warcraft Game Series, a series that brought innovations to the RTS genre, contributed to its popularity, and influenced the development of multiplayer components in computer games. Additionally, Warcraft gave birth to 2 super popular games, Dota and World of Warcraft, which are now associated with the MOBA and MMORPG genres, respectively. I'm sure everyone knows what Warcraft is, and many would love to see its 4th installment. Batman Game Series, one of the most famous superheroes, a billionaire and philanthropist by day and the Dark Knight by night, Batman has delighted comic book fans since 1939. Over time, the character has not only had many brilliant comic arcs but also several successful TV shows, movies, and good games. Among them, the Batman Arkham series stands out, where developers presented the Caped Crusader in all his unbridled power. Batman's excellent martial arts skills allow him to take on dozens of enemies at once. His cape enables him to glide over Gotham, and various technological gadgets help him in battles against bosses. Total War Game Series, a series of global historical and fantasy strategies, whose gameplay combines elements of turn-based 4X strategies and RTS. Players manage cities, lead armies, expand their empire's territory, and appoint loyal people to key government and military positions. Total War offers not only historical settings and epic battles with diverse tactics, but also high variability in managing various aspects of the state. Star Wars Game Series. It's hard to find a universe as recognizable as Star Wars. A long time ago, but already in our galaxy, this brand has extended far beyond the original cinematic history. Today, this impressive world is embodied in books, comics, and of course, video games, of which there have been numerous releases. Many of them date back to the era of 16-bit consoles, which might not appeal to modern gamers. Nevertheless, any respectable gamer should explore at least the Old Republic, Battlefront, and the latest Star Wars Jedi series. That's all. I hope you find this list interesting and discover new games to enjoy. Thank you for watching. Your like and subscription will be the best gratitude. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a good day.